The rain was relentless, hammering the asphalt of New York City like it wanted to drown the world. Eli stood under the flickering neon sign of a dive bar, his breath visible in the cold, his heart pounding louder than the storm. He'd come here tonight because Julian had promised with that velvet voice and those eyes that could unravel anyone at this time. It would be different. Eli clutched the crumpled note in his pocket, the one Julian had slipped him at the gala last week. Meet me. Midnight. You'll see who I really am. He'd read it 100 times, each word burning into his chest. Julian Carter, the golden boy of Manhattan's elite, the man who could charm a room full of cynics with a single smile, had chosen him. A nobody from Brooklyn, a painter with barely enough to cover rent, now tangled in the orbit of a man who seemed to hold the city in his hands. The bar's door swung open, and there he was, Julian, soaked but radiant, his tailored coat clinging to his broad shoulders. His dark hair fell in wet strands across his forehead, and his eyes locked onto Eli's with an intensity that made the world shrink to just the two of them. You came, Julian said, his voice low, almost reverent. He stepped closer, and Eli's pulse spiked, the air between them electric. I always do, Eli replied, his voice quieter than he meant, betraying the ache he'd carried for months. Julian's promises had kept him tethered, promises of love, of a future where they didn't have to hide. But tonight, something felt off. Julian's smile didn't reach his eyes, and there was a hardness in his jaw Eli hadn't seen before. They slipped into the bar, the hum of jazz and clinking glasses wrapping around them. Julian led him to a corner booth, away from the crowd. I needed to see you, Julian said, leaning in, his hand brushing Eli's on the table. Things are complicated, but I'm going to fix it. For us. Eli wanted to believe him. God. He wanted to. But the weight of Julian's world, his family's empire, the political games, the whispers of power plays pressed against them. Julian was the heir to Carter Industries, a name that opened doors and crushed enemies. Eli was just a guy who painted murals in community centers, who'd fallen for a man whose life was a chessboard. What's complicated? Eli asked, searching Julian's face. You keep saying that, but you never explain. I'm here, Julian. I'm all in, but I need to know what I'm in for. Julian's gaze flickered, and for a moment, Eli saw something raw: fear. Maybe. Or guilt. It's my father, Julian said finally. He's planning something. A deal that could change everything. And he's watching me. Watching us. Eli's stomach twisted. He'd met Victor Carter once, at a charity event Julian had dragged him to. The man's handshake was a vice, his eyes cold and calculating, like he was sizing Eli up as a threat or worse. A pawn. What does that have to do with us? Eli asked, his voice steady despite the unease creeping up his spine. Julian leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. He thinks you're a distraction. He doesn't know everything about us, but he suspects. And if he finds out, he'll use it against me, against you. Eli's heart sank. He'd known loving Julian wouldn't be easy. Being gay in their world, Julian's world, was a tightrope. But this felt like a trap closing around them. So what do we do? Eli asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Julian's hand tightened around his. We fight, Together. I'm not letting him tear us apart. I just need time. Eli. Time to outmaneuver him. Eli nodded. But doubt gnawed at him. He'd heard Julian's promises before, beautiful, intoxicating words that kept him holding on. But as the rain battered the windows and Julian's eyes held his, Eli couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the edge of something much bigger than love. Something dangerous. They left the bar hand in hand, the city's pulse thrumming around them. Julian pulled him into an alley, away from prying eyes, and kissed him hard, desperate, like he was trying to anchor them both. Eli melted into it, letting the warmth of Julian's touch drown out the doubts. For now. But as they parted, Eli caught a glimpse of a shadow across the street, a man in a dark coat, watching. Julian didn't notice, but Eli's blood ran cold. Someone was always watching. And in Julian's world, that meant trouble. The next morning, Eli woke to the smell of coffee and the faint hum of his apartment's radiator. His bed was empty. Julian had slipped out before dawn, leaving a note on the pillow. I'll call you. Stay safe. Eli stared at the words, his chest tight. Julian's promises were starting to feel like lifelines thrown just out of reach. He dragged himself to his studio, a cramped loft in Bushwick where paint cans and canvases fought for space. His latest piece, a mural of two figures reaching for each other against a stormy skyline, was half finished. It was them, him, and Julian, though he'd never admit it. Painting was the only place Eli could pour out the chaos of loving someone like Julian, someone whose life was a maze of secrets. His phone buzzed. A text from Julian. Meet me at the pier. 3 p.m. Important. Eli's heart leapt, then sank. Every meeting with Julian felt like a crossroads, hope and danger tangled together. He grabbed his jacket and headed out, the city's rhythm pulling him along. The pier was crowded with tourists and vendors, the air sharp with salt and diesel. Julian was waiting near the edge, his back to the water, his face unreadable. He wore sunglasses, but Eli could feel the weight of his gaze. You're late, Julian said, but there was no edge to his voice, just a quiet urgency. Got held up, Eli lied, not wanting to admit he'd hesitated at the subway, wrestling with whether to come at all. What's this about? Julian glanced around, then stepped closer. I found something. About my father's deal. It's bigger than I thought. He pulled out his phone and showed Eli a photo, a grainy image of a document, stamped with the Carter Industries logo. Words like acquisition and leverage jumped out, but it was the name at the bottom that stopped Eli cold. Senator Margaret Hale. She's running for governor, Eli said, his voice low. What's your dad doing with her? Julian's jaw tightened. He's backing her campaign, but not out of kindness. He's using her to push a merger that'll give him control of half the city's tech sector. And he's using me to seal the deal. Eli frowned. What do you mean? Using you? Julian hesitated, then pulled off his sunglasses. His eyes were stormy, conflicted. He wants me to get close to her son, Nathan, to gain his trust. Nathan's got influence, connections. My father thinks I can manipulate him. Eli's stomach churned. Nathan Hale, golden-haired, Ivy League, the kind of guy who graced magazine covers, the kind of guy Julian could charm effortlessly. And what does that mean for us? Eli asked, his voice sharper than he intended. Julian reached for his hand, but Eli pulled back. It means nothing, Julian said quickly. It's just business. A game I have to play to keep my father off our backs. I'm doing this for us. Eli. For us. Eli's voice cracked. Or for you. Because it sounds like you're playing his game, not fighting it. Julian's face softened. But there was a flicker of something else, guilt. Maybe. Or defiance. You don't understand how this works. My father doesn't just let people walk away. If I don't do this, he'll come after you. He'll ruin you. Eli's chest tightened. He wanted to believe Julian, to trust that this was just a temporary sacrifice. But the image of Julian cozying up to Nathan Hale, smiling that same smile he'd given Eli in the alley, made his blood boil. So what am I supposed to do? Just wait. Pretend I'm okay with this. Julian stepped closer, his voice low and urgent. Trust me. Please. I'm trying to protect you. Eli wanted to argue, to demand answers. But the look in Julian's eyes stopped him. There was love there, but it was tangled with something darker: ambition. Maybe. Or fear. Eli nodded, but the knot in his chest didn't loosen. As they parted, Eli glanced back and saw Julian slip his sunglasses back on, his posture shifting into the confident stride of a man who owned the world. But Eli couldn't shake the feeling that he was losing him, piece by piece, to a game he didn't understand. Eli spent the next week painting, each stroke a release for the anger and doubt simmering inside him. His mural was taking shape: two figures, now clearer, their hands almost touching but held apart by a storm of color and shadow. He worked late, the city's hum fading into the background, until his phone buzzed with another text from Julian. Dinner. My place. 8 p.m. We need to talk. Julian's apartment was a world away from Eli's penthouse in Manhattan, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view that made the city look like a glittering chessboard. Eli felt out of place in his worn jeans and paint-splattered jacket, but Julian greeted him with a smile that melted some of his unease. You look good, Julian said, pulling him into a kiss that felt too brief, too careful. Dinner was candlelit, the table set with dishes Eli couldn't pronounce. But the warmth of the setting couldn't mask the tension. Julian was distracted, his phone buzzing constantly. Work, he muttered, silencing it. But Eli caught a glimpse of the name on the screen: Nathan. So, Eli said, forcing his voice to stay even. How's the plan going? With Nathan? Julian's fork paused midair. It's progressing. He trusts me. That's what matters. Eli's jaw tightened. And what does that look like? You two hanging out, laughing, pretending you're just friends. Julian set his fork down, his eyes narrowing. You think I'm enjoying this? I'm doing what I have to do. For us. Stop saying that. Eli snapped. You keep saying for us, but it feels like I'm the one paying the price. I'm the one waiting, wondering if you're lying to me the way you're lying to him. Julian's face hardened. You think I'm lying to you? I don't know what to think. Eli's voice rose, echoing in the sleek apartment. You're in so deep with your father's games. I don't even know who you are anymore. Julian stood, crossing the room to kneel in front of Eli. You know me, he said, his voice soft but fierce. You're the only one who does. He gestured to the apartment. The city beyond, this isn't me. It's just what I have to do to get us out. Eli wanted to believe him, but the doubt was a blade in his chest. Then tell me everything, he said. No more secrets. What's your father planning? Why does he need you to play Nathan? Julian hesitated, then sighed. The merger, it's not just about money. It's about control. My father wants a monopoly on the city's tech infrastructure. Nathan's mother is the key to getting the regulations pushed through. And Nathan, he's leverage. He's got dirt on half the city's elite. If I can get him to talk, my father gets what he wants. Eli's stomach twisted. And where do I fit in? Am I just the guy you come home to after you've played your part? No, Julian said, grabbing Eli's hands. You're the reason I'm fighting this. You're why I'm risking everything. Eli pulled away, standing. I don't want to be your reason, Julian. I want to be your partner. But I can't do that if you're keeping me in the dark. Julian stood too, his face a mix of frustration and desperation. I'm trying to protect you, Eli. If you knew everything, you'd be a target. Maybe I'm already a target, Eli said, his voice cold. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the door, ignoring Julian's calls. As he stepped into the elevator, his phone buzzed a photo from an unknown number. It was him and Julian, kissing in the alley from that night. Below it, a single word, careful. Eli's hands shook as he stared at the photo on his phone. The word careful burned into his mind, a warning he couldn't ignore. He stood frozen in the lobby of Julian's building, the city's lights blurring through the glass doors. Someone knew. Someone was watching, and they wanted him to know it. He didn't tell Julian about the photo. Not yet. He needed answers first. Needed to understand how deep this went. The next day, he did something he'd never done before. He followed Julian. It felt wrong, like a betrayal, but the photo had shattered his trust. He had to know. Julian's day was a whirlwind of meetings, each one in a sleek office or a private club where Eli didn't belong. Eli lingered outside, blending into the crowd, his heart pounding every time Julian emerged. At dusk, Julian met Nathan Hale at a rooftop bar overlooking Central Park. They laughed, clinked glasses, and leaned too close. Eli's chest ached, but he forced himself to watch, to see the truth. Nathan was everything Eli was: polished, confident, born into privilege. Julian's charm was on full display, his smile effortless, his touch on Nathan's arm calculated. Eli wanted to storm up there, to drag Julian away, but he stayed rooted, his anger mixing with a sickening realization Julian was good at this. Too good. That night, Eli confronted him. They were in Julian's apartment again, the city glittering below like a taunt. I saw you, Eli said, his voice trembling with rage. With Nathan. You're not just playing a part, Julian. You're enjoying it. Julian's face paled. You followed me. Don't turn this on me, Eli snapped. I got a photo of us. From the alley. Someone's watching. Julian. And you're too busy playing your father's game to notice. Julian's eyes widened. A photo? From who? I don't know, Eli shouted. But it's your world that's doing this. Your father. His enemies. Whoever someone knows about us. And they're not playing games. Julian sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. I didn't want this, he whispered. I thought I could control it. Keep you safe. Safe? Eli laughed bitterly. I'm not safe. I'm a target because of you. Because I believed your promises. Julian looked up, his eyes glistening. I love you, Eli. That's not a promise, it's the truth. But I'm in too deep. My father, he's not just ambitious. He's ruthless. If he finds out about us, he'll destroy you to get to me. Then leave, Eli said, his voice breaking. Walk away from him. From all of it. Julian shook his head. I can't. Not yet. If I walk away now, he'll come after you. I need to finish this, get the leverage, I need to break free. Eli stared at him, torn between love and fury. And what if you don't? What if you become him? Julian. What if you're already halfway there? Julian flinched, but he didn't answer. Eli grabbed his coat and left, the photo burning in his pocket. As he stepped into the night, he felt eyes on him again. He didn't turn around. He couldn't. But the weight of being watched followed him all the way home. Eli didn't sleep that night. The photo, the warning, Julian's secrets, they churned in his mind. A storm he couldn't escape. By morning, he'd made a decision. He couldn't just wait for Julian to fix this. He had to act. He started digging. Using a friend's press pass, Eli slipped into a Carter Industries event, a glitzy fundraiser crawling with the city's elite. He kept his head down, blending in as a server, his eyes scanning for clues. Victor Carter was there, commanding the room with a sharp smile. Julian was at his side, playing the perfect son. But Eli caught the strain in his posture, the way his eyes darted to the exits. Then he saw Nathan Hale, laughing with a group of investors. Their eyes met briefly, and Eli's heart stopped. Did Nathan know? Was he the one who'd sent the photo? Eli slipped into the back, his pulse racing, and found a quiet corner to eavesdrop. What he heard confirmed his worst fears. Victor was deep in conversation with a man Eli recognized from the news, a tech mogul with ties to Senator Hale. Nathan's on board, Victor said, his voice low. Julian's got him wrapped around his finger. Once we have the senator's vote, the merger's ours. Eli's blood ran cold. Julian wasn't just playing a part that was succeeding. And Eli was collateral damage. A secret to be buried while Julian climbed the ladder. He left the event, his mind racing. Back at his studio, he painted furiously. The mural now a chaotic clash of colors, red for anger, blue for betrayal. He didn't answer Julian's calls. He couldn't. Not until he knew what to do. The next day, another text came from the unknown number. Meet me. Midnight. Battery Park. Eli's gut screamed it was a trap. But he went anyway, driven by a need for answers. The park was dark. The city's glow distant. A figure emerged from the shadows, not Nathan, but a woman with sharp eyes and a tailored coat. You're Eli? She said. Her voice clipped. I'm Claire. I work for Victor Carter. And I know about you and Julian. Eli's heart pounded. What do you want? I want to help you, Claire said. But you need to understand Julian's not who you think he is. He's been playing you, just like he's playing Nathan. Eli shook his head. You're lying. Julian loves me. Claire's smile was pitying. Love. Maybe. But power. That's what drives him. He's using you to keep his father off balance. To prove he's not just a pawn. You're his rebellion. Eli. Nothing more. Eli's world tilted. He wanted to scream. To deny it. But Claire's words cut too deep. Why should I trust you? He asked. Because I'm risking everything to tell you this. Claire said. Victor's planning to expose you. To use your relationship to blackmail Julian into compliance. If you don't act, you'll both lose. Eli's mind raced. He didn't know who to trust, Julian, Claire, or his own heart. But one thing was clear. He couldn't stay on the sidelines anymore. Eli met Julian the next night. This time on his own terms. A diner in Brooklyn, far from Manhattan's glitz, where they could talk without eyes on them. Julian looked tired, his charm fraying at the edges. You haven't answered my calls, he said, his voice soft but edged with worry. I needed time, Eli said, stirring his coffee. And answers. I met someone. Claire. She works for your father. Julian's face went still. What did she tell you? Enough, Eli said, his voice steady despite the storm inside. She said you're using me. That I'm just a piece in your game against your father. Julian's eyes flashed with anger. She's lying. Claire's loyal to my father. She'll say anything to drive a wedge between us. Then tell me the truth, Eli said, leaning forward. All of it. No more half answers. Are you using me? Am I just a way to stick it to your dad? Julian's hands clenched into fists. No. God. No. You're everything to me, Eli. But I can't lie. Ive had to play dirty to keep us safe. My father, he's relentless. If I don't stay one step ahead, he'll crush us both. Eli's heart ached, torn between love and doubt. Then why Nathan? Why get so close to him? I saw you. Julian. You're not just pretending. Julian looked away, his jaw tight. It's complicated. Nathan, he's not just a mark. He's human. Flawed. He trusts me. And I hate using that. But it's the only way to get what I need to break free. Break free? Eli asked. Or climb higher? Because it looks like you're pretty comfortable in your father's world. Julian's eyes met his. Raw and desperate. I'm doing this for us. For a future where we don't have to hide. But I need you to trust me. Eli. Please. Eli wanted to believe him. But Claire's words echoed in his mind. He stood, his chair scraping against the floor. I've trusted you, Julian. I've stayed. But I'm not sure I can keep doing this. As he walked away, Julian called after him. But Eli didn't turn back. He needed proof, something to show him Julian was still the man he'd fallen for. That night, he went back to his studio and painted. The mural now a battleground of light and shadow. The figure's hands no longer reaching but pulling apart. The next morning, Claire texted again, check the news. Eli opened his phone to a headline, Carter Industries under fire for shady dealings. The article mentioned leaked documents, a whistleblower, and Senator Hale's campaign. Eli's heart raced. Was this Claire's doing? Or Julian's. He called Julian, but it went to voicemail. Panic set in. He headed to Julian's apartment, only to find it empty. The door ajar. Papers were scattered on the desk, one catching his eye, a contract with Nathan's signature. And next to it, a note in Julian's handwriting. I'm sorry, Eli. I had to. Eli stood in Julian's apartment, the note trembling in his hand. I'm sorry, Eli. I had to. The words felt like a betrayal, a confirmation of every doubt he'd tried to bury. He sank onto the couch, the city skyline mocking him through the windows. What had Julian done? And where was he now? His phone buzzed. Claire again. Meet me. Now. Pier 17. Eli's instincts screamed to stay away, but he needed answers. He grabbed the note and the contract and headed out, the city a blur of noise and light. Claire was waiting at the pier, her face grim. You saw the news, she said. Not a question. Julian leaked the documents. He's trying to take down his father. Eli's heart skipped. He what? He's been gathering evidence for months, Claire said. Using Nathan. Using you. Using everyone. He thought he could outsmart Victor. But he's in over his head. Victor knows. Eli's mind reeled. Why didn't he tell me? Because he's protecting you, Claire said, her voice softening. Or because he's using you as a shield. I don't know which. But Victor's coming for him and you. Eli's blood ran cold. Where is he? Claire hesitated. I don't know. He's gone dark. But if you want to help him, you need to move fast. Victor's men are looking for him. Eli didn't trust Claire, but he had no choice. He spent the day searching Julian's favorite haunts. The bar where they'd met. The alley where they'd kissed. Nothing. By nightfall, he was exhausted, his hope fraying. Then his phone rung an unknown number. Eli. Julian's voice crackled. Urgent. Don't go home. They're watching you. Julian. Where are you? Eli's voice broke. What the hell's going on? I can't explain now, Julian said. I'm trying to fix this. I leaked the documents to stop my father. But it's bigger than I thought. They're after us both. Who's they? Eli demanded. Everyone, Julian said, his voice tight. My father. His allies. Maybe even Nathan's people. I didn't mean for you to get caught in this. I love you, Eli. I'm sorry. The line went dead. Eli stood frozen, the city's pulse pounding in his ears. He didn't know who to trust. But he knew one thing. He wasn't giving up on Julian. Not yet. He went to his studio, the only place he felt safe. The mural stared back at him. The figures now a stark contrast, one reaching, one turning away. He grabbed a brush and painted, pouring his fear, his love, his anger into the canvas. Hours later, his phone buzzed. A new text from Claire found him. Meet me at the old warehouse on 10th. Eli's heart raced. It could be a trap. But he had to go. He grabbed his jacket and headed into the night, the city's shadows closing in. The warehouse on 10th Street was a hulking relic. Its windows shattered, its walls tagged with graffiti. Eli's breath caught as he approached, the air thick with the smell of rust and damp concrete. He didn't trust Claire. But if Julian was here, he had to take the risk. Inside, the darkness was oppressive, broken only by slivers of moonlight. Eli's footsteps echoed as he moved deeper, his heart pounding. "Julian," he called, his voice swallowed by the vast space. A figure stepped into the light. Julian, bruised and disheveled, but alive. "Eli," he said, his voice raw. "You shouldn't be here." Eli rushed to him, grabbing his shoulders. "You don't get to decide that anymore. What the hell's going on?" Before Julian could answer, Claire emerged from the shadows, her face unreadable. "We don't have much time," she said. "Victor's men are coming. They know Julian leaked the documents." Eli's eyes darted between them. "Why are you helping us?" he asked Claire. "Because I'm done with Victor," she said. "He used me, too. I want him to pay." Julian grabbed Eli's hand. "I didn't want this for you," he said. "I thought I could take him down and keep you safe. But I was wrong. I used you, Eli. Not because I didn't love you, but because I thought I could control everything." Eli's chest ached, but he squeezed Julian's hand. "You should have told me. We could have fought together." Julian's eyes glistened. "I know. I'm sorry." The sound of tires screeching outside cut them off. Claire pulled a USB drive from her pocket and handed it to Eli. "More evidence," she said. "Get it to the press. It's the only way to stop him." Headlights pierced the warehouse, and shouts echoed. Eli's heart raced. "Go," Claire said, pushing them toward a back exit. "I'll hold them off." Eli and Julian ran, the city's chaos swallowing them. They found a payphone, grimy, but working, and Eli called a reporter he'd met at the fundraiser, sending the files from Claire's drive. Within hours, the story broke. Carter Industries' corruption exposed. Victor's empire crumbling. They hid in Eli's studio. The mural, now complete, 2 figures, hands clasped, standing against a city reborn in light. Julian pulled Eli close, his voice trembling. "I don't deserve you," he said, "but I'll spend my life making this right." Eli kissed him, fierce and forgiving. "We do it together this time. No more secrets." They stepped into the dawn. The city quieter now. Their future uncertain, but theirs. Victor was down, but not out. The fight wasn't over. But for the first time, Eli felt like they were on the same side. Love wasn't a trophy, it was a promise they'd both keep.